A conservative radio talk show host is now on the ballot to replace Governor Gavin Newsom.
Coming up on the KUSI News at 10, why Larry Elder had to sue the state to get his name on the ballot, and why he says he's the most qualified candidate to beat the governor.
Plus, mask mandates in school. The state says it's mandatory, but districts can decide for themselves how to enforce it. So what does that mean for students?
I feel great. We finally get to go back to school.
And after a year of distance learning, thousands of students starting the school year in the classroom. We've got details on how it went today.
This is the KUSI News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Ginger Jeffries.
I'm Logan Burns. Thanks for joining us. Our top story, Republican gubernatorial candidate and radio talk show host Larry Elder will be on the ballot in the race to recall and replace Governor Gavin Newsom. In a tweet, Elder announced a judge ruled that the election law he allegedly violated did not apply. And earlier, in his first major interview since announcing his run for governor, Larry Elder joined us to talk about that decision and his campaign for governor.
Well, the judge agreed, A, that the election law that I allegedly violated didn't even apply, and even if it did, I substantially applied. The law was designed to force Donald Trump to put on his tax returns, 5 years of them, in order for him to qualify for the 2020 ballot. Outgoing Democrat Governor Jerry Brown vetoed it because he thought it was unconstitutional. Gavin Newsom signed it, and guess what? It was appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court in California, and they found it was unconstitutional, but they felt it applied to governor's races. But it was clear it didn't apply to even recall races, and again, even if I did, they said I substantially complied. What basically happened is this. I turned over 500 pages, and I had to turn over 2 sets. One set was complete, one set was missing 7 pages. They had the whole set. They could have easily corrected it if they wanted to. They chose not to. I'll leave it up to you to determine why they did not. But the judge felt that I substantially complied, even if the law did apply, which it did not. 2.2 million people went to the petitions, including a lot of Democrats and a lot of independents who voted for this man just 2 years earlier, and they've had it with the crime, with the rising homelessness, with the cost of living, and with the way he shut down this state in a more severe way than the other 49 governors did, while having his own kids enjoy in-person private education, and while his own winery was exempted from the very mandates that he put down the throats of Californians. I want to tell Californians, help is on the way. Go to electelder.com, throw a little something in the tip jar, because he doesn't have campaign limitations. We do. I cannot win without help from Californians and people outside of California, so I'm urging people to go to electelder.com and help me out. I will not be beholden to the teachers union. I'm going to give black and brown parents what the polls show that they want, which is choice in education, so the money follows the child rather than the other way around. Those are just a couple of things I'm going to do when I become governor, if I'm lucky enough to do so. Regarding my other Republican opponents, I've urged them all, and all of us pretty much have agreed, the target is Gavin Newsom, because as you know, this is a 2-step deal. You have to first recall the governor, and that requires 50% plus 1. If you don't get that, the rest doesn't matter. But if he's recalled, then the person that gets the highest number of votes will be the next governor. I hope it's me, but even if it isn't me, whoever it is will be a great deal better than the person we have right now in Sacramento.
And a recent poll conducted by Emerson College shows that 53% of voters are still undecided on who they will vote or how they will vote in the recall. But the poll also shows there, as you see, Larry Elder receiving 16% of support, which is more than any other candidate. And earlier we spoke with the chairman of Reform California, Carl DeMaio, about the poll.
Larry Elder has 16% of the recall vote. He is way ahead of all of his challengers. He's got more than double than John Cox, more than double than Kevin Faulconer, and I don't expect him to lose his lead. He's been running a great campaign, and he's got great name ID. I'm not endorsing any candidate at this point in the replacement side of the ballot. I did support Larry Elder's bid to be placed on the ballot because I believe voters should ultimately be able to decide. We're focused on yes on recall, and Larry brings a lot of new voters into our coalition to vote yes on recall that ordinarily would not be voting.
Now, the other candidates running against Larry Elder in the recall race are Assemblyman Kevin Kiley, former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer, San Diego businessman John Cox, former Congressman Doug Osee, reality star Caitlyn Jenner, Riverside County Supervisor Jeff Hewitt, and former President Trump's acting director of national intelligence, Rick Grinnell. And today, a judge denied gubernatorial candidate and former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner's request to be labeled as the city's retired mayor on the ballot. Earlier this week, Faulkner's campaign announced it planned to sue the Secretary of State's office regarding the ballot designation, alleging that no regulations prohibit the use of the word retired. The Secretary of State says Faulkner was termed out as San Diego's mayor and thus did not voluntarily retire from the office.
A series of mask choice rallies continues across the county with the group Let Them Breathe advocating against mask mandates, and now they are planning to file a lawsuit against the state. KUSI's Teresa Sardina joins us live from Linda Vista, and she has more on all of this. Teresa?
Good evening, Logan. Well, the state has their mask mandate requiring K through 12 students to wear a mask no matter what, also allowing districts to decide how they're going to enforce the mask requirements. And that's the question. How are the schools going to require this? So we were at a rally this evening in Carlsbad at Sage Creek High School, and close to 100 people were in attendance. And they say their kids are starting school in just a few weeks, and they will not be wearing masks. A mask choice rally ahead of the Carlsbad Unified School Board meeting Wednesday evening.
Don't harass any kid that can't take it anymore.
Those present are against the Department of Public Health's safety measures that K through 12 students are required to wear masks indoors, including a longtime educator, Lisa DeGore, a kindergarten teacher at Kelly Elementary in Carlsbad.
You can imagine teaching kindergarten, you have to see their face. You have to know how they're sounding out a word, or if they're sounding out a word. I can't see any of that when kids have a mask on. I'm worried about their social and emotional well-being, and I'm here to ask the board to consider a resolution that we have mask choice for staff, for parents, and for children.
According to the California Department of Public Health, schools will decide how they will enforce mask requirements.
Well, I think it's more, they're not really saying they can decide, it's more that they're passing the buck to them, because it's going to be tricky, because the California Education Code section 48900 says that K through 8 students can only be expelled or suspended for certain acts of rule breaking, and unmasking isn't one of those acts.
Scott Davidson, parent and one of the attorneys for Let Them Breathe, attends and spoke with KUSI News about the complaint drafted against the state.
We started to see, the safety of other schools throughout the country. We noticed that there was plenty of data showing that they didn't really need to be wearing masks. These kids are not transmitters of the virus, that they don't get very sick, and that there's no reason for them to be wearing masks in school. And so we decided that, we should advocate to the state to try and get rid of the mask requirement. We've, been working with them all summer and trying to get them to get rid of it, but they decided to go ahead and mandate it anyway. Even if you've been vaccinated, you still have to wear a mask, which makes no sense. So once again, just like with the lawsuit that we filed to reopen schools, we knew that we had to file a lawsuit, that's apparently the only way the state is going to listen to science.
This mask mandate comes from the California Department of Public Health, and we were discussing this mask mandate with so many parents this evening. They were also asking, well, since it comes from the state, how are county health officials and the county even addressing this? And we contacted the County of San Diego this evening. In fact, they responded to us right before the show, and they say that the state is requiring districts to decide how they're going to enforce the mask requirements. We also have information on the board for you. They also sent another quote. The county will bring it to the state's attention and talk with the district in attempt to gain compliance. The state California Department of Public Health will ultimately be the lead for all compliance enforcement measures. So we're going to continue to update you. We're trying to get some answers. We need answers from superintendents of the districts of how they're going to enforce the mask requirements. As you saw at so many rallies that we have been covering, these parents are saying they're not going to have their kids mask up when they go back to school. Logan?
All about that enforcement. Teresa, did the attorney representing the Let Them Breathe group say when that complaint is going to be filed?
Yes, we have been following up with the attorneys behind Let Them Breathe, and the attorney, Davidson, this evening, he does tell KUSI that this complaint will be filed by the end of next week. So we'll continue to update you on that as well. We're reporting live tonight in Linda Vista. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Teresa, thank you.
With students across the nation preparing to go back to school, the question on whether to mask or to not mask is intensifying. In some cases, masking up is up to the district or even the school. In other cases, it's the state's call. As of now, at least 8 states, Vermont, South Carolina, Iowa, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Arizona, Utah, and Texas have all prohibited school districts from requiring masks in schools. The governor of Texas has even stated that he will not impose another mask mandate in the state overall.
There will be no mask mandate imposed, and the reasons for that are very clear, and that is there are so many people who have immunities to COVID, whether it be through the vaccination, whether it be through their own exposure and their recovery from it, which would be acquired immunity, and that is, it would be inappropriate to require people who already have immunity to wear a mask.
Meantime, other states like Connecticut, Hawaii, New Mexico, New York, Virginia, and Washington are following the latest recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics, saying children over 2 should wear masks. Back here at home, thousands of students started the new school year today, some at Camarena Elementary School. The reopening does come with some changes. The plastic dividers at the elementary school are gone, but what is there is new air filters in every classroom. The top superintendent of the state of California was in Chula Vista visiting, and here's what he had to say about welcoming students back and wearing masks in schools.
The only person who can change those orders is the California Department of Public Health, and I can't speak for the Department of Public Health. But I would just reiterate, I wish we didn't have to wear a mask, but that is what has been ordered, and that is what will keep us safe.
The new variant and all that stuff, even if we're vaccinated, I'd rather him wear it. They haven't been sick. Like every year they get a cold something, and it hasn't been that way this year. So maybe it's better to have it on at least in the meantime.
Are you okay with the mask? Does it bother you? How do you feel about your mask? No, I'm fine.
The school is the first in the state to start the 2021 school year with full in-person learning.
Tough kid. He's fine. He's fine.
Very pleasant.
So a little warm, a little sticky out there, a little muggy, right? Kind of damp.
I thought it was worse at the beginning of the week, so this is getting manageable, or at least I'm used to it.
What do you think, Francella?
Yeah, I think it's, it's getting more manageable, I think.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And we did have a little bit more moisture today, but, in some parts of the county, so it's all relative depending on where you live. So let's take a look at our forecast. We do have some patchy, dense fog. It's a little bit deeper, or thicker tonight, but it's just starting to develop. Visibility down to about 7 miles along the coastal areas. First, let's take a look at our photo from our friend Lagaze, the Lagaze brothers. It was a beautiful day. We did have a little bit of stratus for the coast and also some mid to upper level clouds, subtropical clouds. Scott Lagaze sending this one in. Lakeside, beautiful lakeside. And it was a nice day, but it was pretty warm. 81 for the coastal areas, normal for this time of year, 76. Inland locations, we're looking at temperatures that maxed out at 96 for Valley Center. Dulzura, 96. Campo, 97 degrees, even a little bit warmer over the mountains. Julian made it to 90. The deserts, of course, in the triple digits, 112, 113. Those are our daytime highs. Right now, 73. We're looking at that stratus already developing along portions of the coastal areas. Temperatures in the valleys, 73 Escondido. For the most part, we're looking at mostly low 70s, a little bit cooler for Spring Valley. La Mesa, 69, and the mountains in the 70s at the moment. So tomorrow, it'll be a nice day, another warm, another muggy day. We may even have a better chance of getting some precipitation today. Not much of it. Tomorrow, I think we may have a better shot. So we'll have your extended forecast coming up.
Francella, thanks. Leaders across the nation continue to urge Americans to get vaccinated.
But the FDA has yet to put their stamp of approval on the COVID-19 vaccines. Coming up on the KUSI News at 10, we're going to go live with Hunter Sowards, who's going to explain.
Plus, San Diego is getting a pretty good chunk of money from the state. So we're going to tell you where the millions of dollars will be going when we come right back.